Hello, my name is Egan. I am farm manager at Hanovahills Farm in Forestville, New York. We are also the Northeast distributor for Powder River livestock handling equipment. Currently, hello. There. Currently, we run a 120 cow-calf operation. We also finish cattle for our own retail meat business. So we handle about every aspect of cattle handling that there is out there. And I'm real happy to be here, and hopefully you can take home some ideas with what we talk about today. First and foremost, we just talk quick about some of the reasons for handling cattle. Mostly herd health. We want to be able to vaccinate to make sure we keep our herd healthy, prevention of disease. Pregnancy check-ins, real important to preg check cattle to know if they're bred or not. Castration, we want to be able to hold the calves, do a good job, thorough job with castrating, whether we're banding or cutting the calves. Identification, a lot of ear tagging. Some folks are tattooing their calves, some branding maybe. Real important to be able to hold them tight. Treating sickness or infection, pink eye, hoof problems. A lot of reasons we have to handle them, and an important reason too is sorting and grouping. We're always sorting, big ones, small ones, heifers, bulls, big cows, always doing something with cattle. First and foremost, safety. You've got to think about protecting ourselves and the others working with you. Cattle are powerful animals, and they don't really care for you, or they don't want to be around you a whole lot. The less you handle them, the happier they are. A lot of times these days we've got our families helping us. A lot of us have our kids, like myself. We've got our 13-year-old, 12-year-old out there running the chute, running the sweep tub. You need to take care of everybody. We also want to avoid unnecessary injury to cattle. The idea of throwing the rope around and getting drug around the pen for a half hour till she's tired out. Usually the cow's whooped and you're whooped too. We want to have a safe and calm working environment, reduce the stress on the animals. We don't want to work cattle down in the old dark barn. We want good light, good footing. We don't want them slipping and sliding, more injury. We want to use common sense. Cattle are herd animals. We can use that to our advantage when we're running them through. They want to follow the leader. They want to go where the other cattle are going. Sweep tubs are real useful with that. Just being smart, using a lot of common sense. A lot of economic benefits to a good system. Being able to manage your herd, knowing what you got, preg checking your cattle, real important. You want to know it costs a lot of money to feed a cow that isn't going to give you a calf in the spring or the fall whenever you're calving. A lot of people want to be able to weigh cattle. Well, you have to have a way to get them in on the scales. You want to know how big your calves are when you're selling them. You want to be able to weigh spat cattle when you're taking them to the sale. A lot of us are using artificial insemination. With that, also are embryo transplants. A lot of genetic things that we really need a good system. Ultrasound for pregnancies, pelvic area on heifer calves, replacement heifers. And a lot of saving time and labor. You go and hurt yourself. A system might cost some money, but you go and hurt yourself. You're laid up for a couple of weeks, a month. That gets expensive. You've got to hire someone to do your job. It's just the safety. You can get hurt. Choosing a system that works for you. It's real important. Every operation is different. Some people have 10 animals, some have 150 animals. It really depends on what you want. You're going to want a system that's permanent or portable. You want something that you're going to set up in your outside your barn. It's going to stay there. You don't want to move it. It's going to be right there for years to come. It's where you handle most of your cattle. Or do you want something portable? So you've got a couple different buildings, and you want to be able to pick that sweep tub up and your panels up and move them down to the other barn and move them out in the pasture to run some animals through. a real important decision. Can you incorporate an existing building structure in your handling system? Maybe you've got an old dairy barn that you're running some beef cattle in, and you can use one wall of that barn for one side of your alleyway. Trying to do things like that, you can save yourself some money, and it makes you feel good to use something you've already got. Important one, does your system need to be adjustable for cows and calves? For me in particular, we're running cow-calf. I need to be able to run my cows through for preg checking, and I also need to be able to run my calves through when I'm vaccinating and banding. What fits into your budget? Everything can get real expensive. You can try to cut some corners here and there, but you have to know what you're doing. You don't want to buy a system that's not going to handle, you have 1,800-pound cows, you want to buy something that you're going to be able to handle those cattle with and not cut yourself short. But you have to be able to justify it. Maybe you've got 10 animals and you can't justify a big squeeze chute. Well, maybe just a headlock and a couple panels, a way to at least be able to work on the head, and control the animal. This is what we're talking about now, controlling the head. Most of what we do involves the head. You control the head, you control the animal. Whether you're ear tagging, depending on what you're doing. If you control the head, here's a simple, we've got up top here a simple self-catch headlock with a couple panels on each side. Most of the headlocks you can buy them self-catch where the animal is going to trigger them themselves, or they can be manual where you actually reach up and you squeeze down when they put their head through. Benefits to a self-catch, they're going to do it themselves. You don't have to be right there. They're going to run in and lock themselves in, whereas the manual, you've got to be standing there to be able to lock that system down. And you want a squeeze chute that has a headlock incorporated. With a squeeze chute, we can control the animal a lot better. We got their head. We can also squeeze in from the sides if we want to get in for castration. The veterinarian will be real happy with you when you're preg checking cattle. Veterinarians are one of the best salesmen for this equipment because they don't want to. Beef cattle are a lot different than a lot of us used to love dairy cattle. Dairy cattle are used to being handled. They're used to being in the barn, you're touching them, you're doing stuff with them every day. You get into beef cattle, they're not as docile. You can't just put them in a stanchion and expect to do what you need to do to them. They don't want to be handled that way. Sweep tubs and alleys, real important. You want portable sweep with open type sides. A little bit less expensive. You can move them around a lot easier if you want to move them from farm to farm. Or you're going to want a permanent sweep with sheeted sides on the bottom here. I don't want to break off too far, but last year I had an opportunity to go out to Provo, Utah, to the plant where they produce the product, Powder River line. And where I was there for 3 days, and one of the most interesting days for me was we got to go and actually use everything. They have a ranch where they set up every system that they have, the squeeze chutes, the sweep tubs, and we got to run cattle all day long through every different operation. It was interesting to me how much better the cattle went through a system with the sheeted sides. When they can't see what's going on around them, maybe there's other people standing around. When they can't see what's going on around them, it really helps them to just concentrate on what they want to do, which really is to get out of that system. They want to go through that tub, through the alley, and get out of there, following the other cattle through without being distracted by what's going on around them really helps with the sheeted system. Saying that, I have seen farmers are very creative people. I have seen some people with a portable sweep tub that have incorporated their own ideas as far as making sheeted sides, whether it's tarps, like this alleyway we have in the top picture. They've designed this system so it is adjustable, but you can put wood in to create a sheeted side, which is a simple idea, but just a simple ability to control what they're seeing going on around them makes a huge difference. Adjustable alleys. That's real important to think about your alley. The alley to me is almost as important as anything else. Getting that animal into your headlock or squeeze chute. The alley's too wide when you're running calves, they're going to want to twist and turn, create a traffic jam, pile up in there. You got to run them all back out and start all over again. Having an adjustable alleyway allows you to run your cows through, keep it wide enough for your cows, the brood cows to fit through. And if you're running your calves, you can adjust it down simply and run your calves through without them twisting and turning on you. Real great idea. If you can incorporate that into your system, it's going to be an improvement. This I wanted to show, part of our, it's not really a system, it's a calving pen. I use one at home for several reasons. They're real nice for if you have a cow, a heifer, getting close to have a calf. It's a 10 by 10 pen. Real accessible. The sides open up for getting an animal into this pen. And you've got a self-catch headlock. So if you're working by yourself, it's easy to lock the animal in. The sides open so that if she does go down when you're trying to help her with the calf if you need to, she's not down caught in a squeeze chute, which you want to avoid. Can also be used as maybe a sick pen. Maybe you got a cow that's not acting quite right, you want to separate her. They're 10 by 10 sides, you can unpin them, take it down, set it up. Real useful all around kind of basic tool that we don't talk about a whole lot. It's always squeeze chutes and sweep tubs, but it's an economical way to kind of have an all-in-one handling system, especially for maybe people that can't justify a big sweep tub and a squeeze chute. I tried to take a few pictures at home before I come. It wasn't the best day of kind of what I use. This particular barn here, I run about 100 feeders, our calves from this past year in. All I use at this top left-hand side, I just got a quarter sweep tub, portable sweep tub. I like to take it down once in a while, clean it out. We get a lot of snow where I am. I leave the tub outside. The cattle come in my alley into the chute, which is inside, so I'm out of the weather if I'm doing stuff when it's kind of crappy out. I only use a 12-foot alley. You can see down here, two 12-foot panels. Kind of all I really have room for right there. One thing to think about with your alley is how long do you want it? Maybe you only have room for 8 feet. You're not going to be able to fit as many cattle in the alley, but it's going to do the job for you. I don't run. Usually in my sweep tub, I'll get 4 or 5 animals in there. I don't need to crowd. I could probably fit 8, 10 if I wanted to in there, but giving the cattle a little more room to, when you're running them in there, they can see what's going on in front of them. Really helps when you're running them through a system like this. They go into my self-catch squeeze chute. I do everything in there, castration, ear tagging if I need to, vaccinations. And then when they come out, they're going to go right in. I have a swing gate on my pen right down here at the bottom. And I open that up and they come right back in. I do have the option too, which is important to talk about, is sorting, being able to group cattle after you do with them. You know, if you can eliminate another step as to having to go back in, resort. When you're handling cattle, try to design a couple different pens maybe that when they're coming out of that chute, my heifers are going here, my bulls or my steers are going over here, I want to send a load to the sale barn, why put them back in with a group? You know, try to utilize your handling system or set it up so that you can sort cattle as they come through and it'll save you a little time. What else did I do? These are just some more pictures. I took a picture in our barn. We've got, a lot of you are probably familiar with the inline headlocks. We have each side of our barn, we have those. Some barns already have them, these old dairy buildings. For doing head work, a simple catch, if you got to do something, ear tagging, I think you can utilize this stuff. They don't allow you to control much as far as their swaying, kicking, trashing around. I learned a lesson once, tried to Craig check some heifers in one of these, thought I'd do things a little bit quicker, and didn't work as well as I thought. We ended up now, we run everything through a system. If I do, I like to use these sometimes for sorting steers. We send about eight fat steers a month to get slaughtered. What I do is I feed through these headlocks, lock the ones I want to send in, release the rest of them. I can run these right through my sweep tub onto my trailer. They're useful, just another option. That's most all I have for the slides. One thing I did want to talk about is just our basic skills when we handle cattle. being calm, trying to, sometimes people get cattle so worked up. I don't wake up in the morning if I want to preg check 60 head of cows, put on my boots and walk out and think I'm going to lock them in my barn. It takes a little planning. You gotta think a couple days ahead. Well, I better move them in closer to the barn. Maybe I'll feed them in the barn a couple days. You got to use a lot of common sense in your basic animal skills. Sometimes that goes farther than any system at all. One thing I did want to touch on, Mike Baker does a program every summer at Empire Farm Days where he talks about cattle handling and how it's important to use our good skills. Well, the last couple of years he's showed us about these paddles, I'll call it. He talked about, a lot of us use the sticks or a prod or even the cane. I finally broke down this past year and bought one of these paddles to see how it worked, and I was really amazed, sorting fat cattle, steers by myself, how well they can see it and how well they can hear it. And I just wanted to kind of share that with you, and I see the folks here have got them for sale right here in the beefery area. I think $15, I think they are. Very good investment. It made my job a lot easier, and I was just real happy, and it was something I really took from that Mike's program that I was very interested in, and it was a great investment.